why Dimension Shredder Yi Sang is the worst identity release this season. This dude actually does nothing right. Let's start with his charge. He gains 4 on his skill 1, a laughable 1 on his skill 2, in his skill 3 and 3-2 is what consumes charge, so I won't compare it, but either way it's very little. But those are actually god-awful numbers you have to use at the very least to get his 3-2 in this exact order, and evade a skill 1, a skill 1, and another skill 1. And if you don't use the skill 3 right then and there, you have to use another skill 1 or skill 2 to get it above 14. No charge ID release since W Corp Otis, which is a Season 4 ID, has had charge gain this laughably bad. And you might ask, but what about the E.G.O? It gives 4 extra charge count on turn end if he took no damage. Either way, you shouldn't have to rely on an E.G.O to get a halfway decent charge. Now for his Rupture, which is just actually non-existent and useless. His skill 1 does 2 Rupture and is either -1 or -2 on Rupture count, and the E.G.O just makes it neutral. His skill 2 is either -1 on count, and does 3 Rupture, and it becomes +1 with his E.G.O. His skill 3 is 3 Rupture, -1 count, or +2 on count with the E.G.O. His 3-2 is 4 Rupture, and either -2 or -1, and with the E.G.O. becomes +1 or +2. His numbers aren't terrible if you use the E.G.O. However, this is the craziest crutch of all time. The E.G.O. is unfair because you could use 7 Association Yi Sang, where the word Rupture count is not said a single time in his entire kit, becomes neutral on every single skill, and I will say again, you should not have to rely on an E.G.O. to be even decent, especially if you can use the E.G.O. for every single identity and get the exact same effects. Normally in Lei Hang solos, a charge ID would shine its brightest because it can build charge really quick, but not Yi Sang. No, in fact, unless you go out of your way to play the game in extremely risky and unconventional ways, he does not ever get to see his 3-2 because of how bad his charge game is. Not even having 6 skill slots can get him his 3-2. He also can't keep a Rupture stack, even when you give him +3 count every single turn from the E.G.O. Now the E.G.O, which I'm excited to talk about for synergy, or lack thereof. Why does he not have any E.G.O sync at all? We got sync for Solomon Yi Sang, Bimbo out of Kimber Salt, Queen of Hatred Dawn, Felble Yi Sang, AD Gregor, and more. But there is nothing that even correlates the two that does not apply to every other ID for Yi Sang. Actually nothing at all. No special buffing for only him. Nothing that does not apply to W Corp Yi Sang also. You know, the Dimensional Rift, consuming charge count, W Corp Yi Sang does that. Inflicting extra Rupture count, gaining charge, W Corp Yi Sang does that. He does all of those. And just why? Like, why does he actually have nothing unique to do with his own E.G.O? That is your E.G.O! Now let's talk about the only 3 things about this ID that's unique. Quadricolor Dimensions, Dimensional Castaway, and his 3-2. He actually cannot keep either Quadricolor Dimensions or Dimensional Castaway! This skill 1 eats Dimensional Castaway for breakfast, and Quadricolor Dimensions gets reduced by 1 at turn end and is quite literally useless unless you have more than 1 skill slot, or he uses 3-2. But even if you keep both of these statuses, they don't do that much. Dimensional Castaway is nice, I guess, but doesn't contribute that much. It's like that kid nobody wanted to pick for a team in elementary school. Like, he's alright, but why would you pick him? And Quadricolor Dimension does next to nothing, even if you manage to get 4 stacks, which you can only get by using a 3-2 unless you're in a solo. He gets 23.3% more damage if you have 5 plus charge potency. He takes 6.6% less damage and gains a whopping 1 whole extra charge count from base skills, which turns his S1 into 5 count and S2 from a laughable 1 to a whole grand whopping 2. And it wouldn't even be that bad if you didn't lose Quadricolor Dimension on turn end, but you lose 1 stack on turn end for some reason. Now his 3-2, which is the only one of its kind, I will say, the only compliment I'm going to give this ID is the uniqueness of its 3-2. A 4 attack weight unfocused volley. I don't think we've ever seen that in any other ID or E.G.O to my knowledge, but it's still pretty useless. It rolls a 31, 36 with the reuse and is 5 coins. It isn't that bad, all things considered. However, for the standards of a Season 7 ID, it is rather subpar. It has a 5% damage to other sub-targets on each coin, which translates to a 15% damage buff total, which for a 3-2 to only have a 15% damage buff despite all the rolling buffs is actually laughably terrible. If we take a look at the worst damage buffing on a Season 3/3-2 on a Season 7 item, we get at least something that buffs damage, with only exceptions having something to make up for it, like toys. He doesn't have anything to make up for it. He has nothing at all. We can look at different, also simple ID. S-Corp Hong Lu, who was released not that long ago and has a few unique gimmicks, and he is actually done right. He has good bleed, he has good poison, good damage, and good gimmicks that are actually easy to keep. This Yisang does not, however. He has so many general failings that I'm going to go over. He has -3 defense level naturally, 3 stagger bars, below average health, so obviously he's meant to be a class cannon, right? No, he isn't. He's just extremely fragile and can't even punch below his weight class. Seriously, this is the worst identity we've gotten since Season 5. Like, I am being so genuinely serious, except for, like... Actually, no. Except for nothing. He is the worst ID we have gotten since Season 5. And that was a whole year ago when Season 6 started. And also, a Season 2 ID is better than him in every single way. I would rather use W Corp Yisang, because he's just better. He has better charge, he has better rupture, he has better face, and even Dimensional Rift. He also does Dimensional Rift and Rupture count. And it's better than the new Yisang IDs. The only thing W Corp Yisang does worse is he lacks gimmick statuses, but you're not really missing out on much. You're missing out on 23.3% more damage, 6.6% less damage taken, and 1 whole extra charge count gain. It's not a whole lot, really. And his evade is, like, sometimes worse depending on the situation. Like, LCE Yisang's has more gimmicks, so if you need the gimmicks, it's nice and helpful, but otherwise, W Corp Yisang's rolls higher and makes him inflict more rupture potency. Not that he lacks rupture in the first place. It just makes it even better. Like, you inflict 9 rupture on them. It's absurd. It's absurdly good. And this dude released 2 years ago. Like, this is a Season 2 ID. Remember, this is an ID that released in Season 2, along with the likes of the amazing Rose Spanner Workshop Rodion and Sloshing Ishmael and Potential Man. In conclusion, this guy's awful. I don't remember exactly who he was, but I saw somebody say on YouTube that this is a Season 4 ID in disguise, and I completely agree with him. He is, like, actually on par with Season 4 IDs in every single way, except for his 3-2. He has bad rupture, bad charge, bad unique statuses and gimmicks, bad damage, bad defenses for a Season 7 ID. He cannot do anything right! The second worst ID of the season, besides him, is, in my opinion, Index Fast. While you're free to disagree and say, like, Escort Hong Lu, I think it's Index Fast. And she's better than him in, like, every single way. She's not the best on poise or sinking, but still leagues ahead of Dimension Shredder Yisang. In damage, and defense, and status infliction and game, and literally everything. Do not pull, and especially do not shard this ID unless you're a completionist and you have nothing else to do and you just want to get this ID out of the way. He is garbage! He is awful! Alright, that's all. Goodbye. Thank you for listening to my impassioned rants about this game.